You are listening to the Intercoastal Podcast, part of the Destination Marketing Podcast Network. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Intercoastal Podcast, brought to you live from Beaufort, South Carolina. We have Robb Wells with us again to talk about all the great things that Beaufort has to offer, and we're really excited to get started. Thanks for being here, Robb.
That's right. I appreciate you guys having me on here once again.
Yeah, we love talking to you. It's always fun to hear your passion about Beaufort.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things. Beaufort gets into your soul, and the next thing you know, you're spouting out about all your favorite things to do. And it's, we find that our visitors and our locals share a lot of the same passions and a lot of the same things that people celebrate here. And, it's fun because, in our time here in the area, I've had, both of my girls and my boys had different experiences here in Beaufort, but it's all unique. And as one of them told me just recently, that they were so glad to be home here. And that reference to Beaufort and getting under your skin, it's definitely in our kids' bloodstream now. And it makes that much more passionate about what we do each and every day in our office. And, listen, once you visit, it is hard to get rid of it. It is that powerful of a place to spend some time.
Sounds like it. Once you get a little bit of that intercoastal lifestyle in you, you can't let it go.
That's right.
Well, should we talk about some of the things that you can do there, like the Spanish Moss Trail and some of the other cool hiking trails that are there?
Yeah, one of the things that we find fun to do in the area is just being active. Right now, everybody's sort of kind of in that mode, right? Just like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
how can I not go stir crazy? How can I get outside and be in the wide open? And, the beauty of Beaufort and the Port Royal and the Sea Islands as a whole is that we have some great opportunities to do just that. So, one of the things that we talk about is if you want to experience the city, the area, you can get on the water or you can get on a bike.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about getting on the water and what that looks like and how much fun that can be and just have, but something about getting on a bike and experiencing different aspects of the area, seeing some unique things is pretty impressive. So one of the things that the community did several years ago was convert the old train tracks into a riding trail.
Oh.
The Spanish Moss Trail is a linking of trails throughout the low country here, throughout the Beaufort, Port Royal, Sea Island area, with stops along the way and places where you can enter the trail at different portions and parts. And you know what? The beauty of it is that you'll see on any given run or walk or ride, you're going to see water, you're going to see birds, you're going to see other people, but your activity is pretty extensive, and it's a pretty well-supported trail as far as being able to get out there and hit one spot and get your miles in and get your scenes in. And it's pretty awesome. And even in times like this, even when people are a little bit more cognizant about being outdoors and being with family and getting out there and kind of seeing things, that's where the trail has been a cause. So that's why it's one of the topics that we share when people come in and say, hey, listen, we want to do some things outdoors. Give us some ideas. We brought our bikes. Okay, perfect. Well, if you are looking to hop on a trail and kind of have the path set for you, then the Spanish Moss Trail is a great way to do that. You can hop on SpanishMossTrail.com and kind of pick your trailhead loading spot and hit the trail and get up and down our area. If you're a little bit more adventurous, though, and some people are, they will ride from a point downtown out to Hunting Island.
Oh, dang.
We call it the Island Hopping Trail, and people can go and find these routes. We don't recommend it to just a novice. If you just got a beach cruiser and you're just trying to get some work in, you might not want to do that. But if you're someone looking for a little bit more activity, then we definitely want you to hit those up, and you can get some good miles in, some great scenery. And the roads at certain points are clearly lined for riders for them to be able to have a great experience. But again, there's a mix. It's the beauty of the areas is that you have a mix of activity that you can do out there and those trails. And then, of course, we've mentioned it before. If cycling's not your thing and you're just wanting to hit the trail, Hunting Island has miles of trail out by the nature center, out around their open beach that puts you in and out along the coast. And that's some of the best trails you're gonna find in our area.
Yeah, I remember talking about, like, the nature center
That's
and
right.
how beautiful it was, so I can only imagine, like, how amazing those trails would be.
Yeah, and they're pretty awesome just to get out there and do that. And of course, not everybody's the adventurous type, right? Some people are looking for that little peace and serenity, and that's when you catch the strolls on the beach. There's nothing
Mhm.
nothing better that I have found. They either take a run, a jog, or just a casual walk along the coast. And some of my early memories uh, going to the coast as a child was spending time with my family as we just walked the beach. And families do that here in our area, whether that is at Fripp Island or Harbor Island or at Hunting Island. You can get out there and walk the coast. And again, like I said, it's one of those things where you just kind of find your serenity there, and it's pretty cool stuff to do, and kind of gets you in the mood for the rest of the day, especially if it's your first stop.
Sounds like a great first stop, honestly, or like a perfect, like, end of day stop, like, watch the sunset, walk along the beach.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's it. There's some great spots. One of the things that we don't talk about often is just, a great destination is made up by great things to do, right?
Right,
It's either what we call either God made or man made. It's either going to be landscape, or it's going to be natural beauty, or it's going to be something man made like an attraction, like a Disney World or something of that nature, cityscape or
right.
urban setting. And Beaufort has a great mix of both. The landscape is what sets us apart from others, I would say. But the beauty of a sunset or a sunrise to kind of kick off the day or end the day, those scenes are pretty epic, especially in Beaufort. And one of the things that I love to encourage people to do is pick a night, go to the waterfront park, sit in the swing, and watch the sun dip behind the trees, and watch the sky get painted orange and purple, watch the water get painted orange, and the waves lap in. And I'm telling you, that will be one of those photographs you wish you could capture routinely. It will be your screensaver at some point upon your return home, and it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, I bet. That sounds like something you'd picture in, like, a fairy
Oh
tale
yeah.
or a book, like, it sounds so magical.
But it is, and so we had this fun. Uh, I can't remember. It's been several years ago, but we had this little thing in the office where we were kind of telling people, recommending some coolness, and we're like, hey, listen, just send us your photo, just hashtag LUVBFT. Tag your photo, your sunset photo. Don't use a filter. Just watch what happens. You would be amazed to see the photos that came in to us, and we were able to use some of that stuff, and it was beautiful. The unfiltered sunsets in Beaufort, amazing.
They sound absolutely breathtaking. Also, I love the idea of just sitting on a swing while watching that. That
Yeah,
sounds ideal.
it is. Well, that's one of those things. So, that's a good segue into one of my favorites. I love to talk about food. We always talk about food here in this space, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, you're talking about the swings. And so Beaufort is we're along the Intracoastal Waterway. You have our marinas that align there. You have travelers conversing the water, and you also have people who view that in Henry Chambers Waterfront Park in downtown Beaufort. Is along the water. It's along the Intracoastal Waterway.
Mhm.
There are restaurants that scattered across the downtown area there that have some waterfront seating, some outside dining. But it really doesn't matter where you get your food. One of the recommendations that we make is that take it to go. Go grab a seat on one of the swings in Waterfront Park and just enjoy the breeze that comes in as you're casually swinging. There's a creak to the creaking noise that the swing makes, that a chain swing makes when it rocks.
Right.
And when you I can hear it right now as I'm talking, and it's a distinct noise.
Honestly, so can I.
Yeah, and it's that cool little soft back and forth. Couple that with the fact that there's a hint of salt in the air, and that you're going to see some boats conversing and traversing around the water, and there's going to be some waterfowl moving about and some birds coming in, and you may catch it at low tide, you may catch it at high tide. If it's dinner, you're definitely going to see that sunset I talked about, and you're gonna enjoy that moment. You're gonna enjoy that moment, and it's one of those things. But there are wonderful places to do some waterfront dining, and in the Beaufort Port Royal area, and those restaurants all have a unique settings. So some are on directly on the creek, some are out in the islands, some are in downtown Beaufort. But waterfront dining is what you make of it, in my opinion. And so live a little. Don't just fall into a outdoor dining scene, which is great. It might be your setting, but I would encourage you to grab some food to go, make one of your nights. You catch a sunset, eat the food, enjoy that time out there on the swing, and really kind of soak in what being in our area is about. It's one of those moments that, trust me, you'll cherish that one.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. It's like one of those moments that you wish you could be trapped in forever because it's so
That's
magical.
right. It'll come back. It'll be one of those things when you're at work, kind of pushing through that 3:30, 4 o'clock coffee, or
Oh, yeah.
at least in my book, that's when it happens. But you're kind of doing that push through, like, okay, I got to get to the end of the day. You're going to reflect back. You're going to start thinking about dinner, and then you're going to remember that dinner you had on the swing in Beaufort. It'll come back. It'll be a part of that memory. I'm thinking of the last time my wife and I did the same thing, where we took a little takeout from one of our favorite restaurants downtown. We just walked over there in Waterfront Park and sat on a swing, and that's where we enjoyed it.
Perfect date night.
Great date night.
That sounds so magical. Like, I wish I was there right now. And talking about food and thinking about dinner, I'm sure there's a lot of great restaurants
There
there.
are.
Do you have some favorite ones that you would recommend?
Well, yeah. I mean, so I love seafood. Obviously, we talked about seafood. I think I've spoken about it every episode thus far. So seafood, is good, but I'm particular about seafood.
Right.
Like, I don't necessarily go inland to get seafood. I want seafood from the area in which I know that Sea Eagle Market is supplying some of the food to the area. So I'm going to grab. And one of those recommendations that I will always make is, if grouper is on the menu locally, grab it.
Okay.
Like, you'll thank me. Just you'll thank me. So I don't care if it's a grouper sandwich. I don't care if it is a grouper with a black rice side dish, with some fruit topping. I mean, this it's going to be amazing. I love it. But that's my little personal recommendation. But there's some great restaurants out there.
Is grouper a type of fish?
Oh
Just,
yeah,
I
it's a
don't know
good.
what it is.
Yeah, you got to look that one up. It's a great fish. It's a great eating seafood dish that you can partake in. You can find it. I can think right now that Saltus River Grill has a blackened Dorado that does it for me. That's a real good dish. Um, I think there's some good food at Breakwater. That comes up, and you have to watch their menu. And then there's the old faithfuls. I'm a barbecue guy at heart. Being a Southern, I think everybody is,
Yeah.
or should be. And then Q on Bay is a great barbecue place, but there's also some good ones over in Port Royal that have some wonderful barbecue as well. And then like I said, there's something about dining on the water, and so let me paint this picture. So imagine sitting outside. You're looking at this waterway over Battery Creek. You're seeing maybe a couple porpoises move about. They're chasing their fish. They're having dinner as well as you're sitting there. And you're overlooking some docked shrimp boats. That is Fish Camp on 11th in Port Royal. And that's the setting. And it's a great restaurant, tremendous seafood. In my opinion, I enjoy their food. And it's a great setting. It's one of those. It's a favorite for a lot of people to come to town. Dockside in Beaufort is also another one that's fun. Those are great waterfront dining scenarios. One's on Battery Creek, one's on Factory Creek, but they all have something in common, and that is their setting, and and the food is good. And so those are some good waterfront dining scenarios.
Those all sound amazing. Adding things to my list
Yes,
to
you're
do
gonna have a
once
big
I come.
list. I mean, I'm telling you that
I
that
know.
that, that bucket list is getting pretty deep there for Beaufort.
I'm thinking I'm just going to have to come multiple times at this point.
Well, either that or to stay for a while, right? I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it. There's some really cool stuff that goes on in a little small town, and especially one like Beaufort, in which we share our seasons with both local and guest. And but people come to town and they're familiar with some of the attractions, and some of the stars of our attractions are definitely the water and definitely the activity that goes in there. But one of the ones that most occupies the fancy of folks is the Old Sheldon Church Ruins. I mean, if you're looking at the Old Sheldon Church Ruins, you're mesmerized by this setting, right? The building was a parish church, built between 1745, 1753, somewhere. I think that's what the note says. But it's been vacant for over 100 some odd years. The gable ceilings, have been are still intact, but the ruins are they sit amongst these majestic oaks, that kind of there's some scattered graves and the ruins, and basically sit out what we call this covered roadway where the trees overlap the road and it's shaded, and it is a photographer's dream.
Oh yeah.
It is an historian's locale because they're going to get this amazing, kind of walk through the history. And most people love to read about history, but other people like to touch the structure, right? And here you got this Greek revival structure here that's a former church, and it's seen revolutionary. It's seen Civil War. It's been rebuilt. It's been burned down. It's been used to replace woods as it was done, and now it is basically the picturesque site that has been the home of weddings and services and photographers' bounty. And what we recommend for people to do is, as you come into the area and you're looking to kind of make that stop, it's off a beaten path, but just about anywhere you type in to the Old Sheldon Church Road, you will find the ruins there on the right, about maybe a tenth of a mile from Highway 17. It's not as far as you think, but it is an amazing add-on to those history buffs, but also the people who just love great pictures and great architecture. And it's one of the first attractions that my family went to on our way to visit Beaufort for the first time. And it was really cool to see it and then find out the history. It was actually one of the very first attractions that I recommended for someone who came in the visitor center one of my first days on the job. I recommended that they go see this and go touch it and go be a part of it. Now there are some things that go on there, restrictions from now and now. I don't think you can get married there anymore, but there's some wonderful, wonderful images in history tied to that structure, and it's one of many, many historical sites that you will find in Beaufort.
Oh yeah, it definitely is one that seems like it's seen a little bit of everything throughout history. As I've been looking at pictures, it kind of reminds me of I went to Ireland a few years
Yeah,
ago, and it has kind of, even though it's a different architectural structure, it has that same kind of feel, like being tucked away in all these trees with the ruins and like the scattered graves, and it's beautiful. And I remember like when I was in Ireland, just like how breathtaking that was, and like almost reverent, but like you could like feel the history around you.
yeah,
And just looking at the pictures, I kind of get that same vibe of this area.
yeah. It is. It's man. It's such a cool location, and you have it. And when it's one of those things where you have people are holding on to, and preservation is such an important part of what makes the city who we are and what people enjoy about it. Some people can get lost in over, why do we don't have this, or where's this particular retail, or where's this particular, and there are some people who's like no more development, right? So
Right.
you have this progress and this preservation, and they kind of butt heads. Well, that's the beauty of the areas that has been going on, and there's been a well championed move to keep Beaufort and Port Royal and the Sea Islands in this what makes us great environment.
Hmm.
And so I will always be supportive of that. And what makes us one of those things is that we have this love affair with historical structure and maintaining them and keeping them around for generations. And you know what? The Sheldon Church ruins do that now, and they're kind of part of
Oh, yeah.
part of that story.
Yeah, it's a lot like the historic Beaufort Arsenal that we talked about last episode. That's really awesome.
Yeah, the Arsenal, the Old Sheldon Church Ruins, Chapel of Ease is another one, and you have there's numerous homes that fit this category. Like I said, there's a little bit for, and you don't really want to be the destination that's a little bit for everybody, right? But when it comes to history,
Uh-huh.
there's a little bit for each area of your historical, divide. And people like the Revolutionary War here, we have plenty of it. If Civil War is your thing, we have plenty of it. And if it predates all of that and it's early exploration, you know what? We're discovering more and more about that, and that may be for another episode of just how important early Spanish exploration was in our area. and in some cases predates St. Augustine's. So it's some fun stuff we can get into in this space, and I look forward to it.
Okay, great. That about wraps it up. Is there anything else that you want to share with us today, Rob?
No, I thank you. I mean, again, if you're looking to travel this area and you're looking for some personal recommendations, do not hesitate to send me an email, Robb with 2 B's, ROBB at BeaufortSC.org.
Thanks, Rob. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to leave a review and subscribe. This has been another episode of the Intercoastal Podcast, part of the Destination Marketing Podcast Network, hosted by Natasha Lye, produced by Relic.